Now she's teasing a big announcement that she claims will result in some of her opponents being arrested and charged.
A Dolton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now
residents and critics alike are questioning just how far one leader can stretch the limits of power before it all unravels. It may sound improbable, but the tiny village of Dolton, Illinois, has become the epicenter of a political saga stranger than fiction. At the heart of the controversy is Mayor Tiffany Henyard, whose term in office reads like a blend of political thriller and reality TV. Allegations of corruption, mismanagement, and outright scandal have placed her leadership under intense scrutiny.
Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard appears to have lost control of both.
In a stunning turn of events, Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dolton, Illinois, stands accused of misusing over $2 million in public funds, with allegations that the money, intended for community development and essential services, was funneled into dubious contracts, luxury trips, and personal expenses, leaving residents to bear the burden. Trustee Chris Gonzalez labeled her actions a betrayal of public trust, further intensifying the already fraught relationship between Henyard and the village trustees, which has spilled over into tense public events. Adding to the controversy, Henyard's administration has been accused of prioritizing her personal brand over community needs, exemplified by banners featuring her image and the phrase "Super Mayor" that appeared along a major road without trustee approval. When workers attempted to remove the banners, Henyard reportedly called the police and demanded legal action against them, despite the village still owing $20,000 for the project, a debt yet to be resolved.
We're here to handle the business, not let the business handle us. That's what we are elected to do, sir. So please.
Body camera footage from public meetings has captured frustrated citizens taking the microphone to air grievances about Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership. One resident criticized the controversial Super Mayor banners as unattractive and questioned why taxpayer money was spent on what they saw as self-promotion. Others condemned Henyard for prioritizing her image over addressing the village's pressing issues, including a staggering budget deficit of over $3 million, and called on her to resign. In one heated exchange, Henyard can be heard instructing the police to press charges on him after workers removed the banners, claiming it was the theft of government property. The acting police chief eventually returned the banners to Henyard, but the incident became yet another public embarrassment. Critics argue that Henyard appears more focused on maintaining her super mayor persona than tackling Dolton's financial crisis. As tensions rise, residents continue to demand accountability, vowing to speak out against what they perceive as misconduct. The controversies surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard have now extended beyond politics to her personal life, as she and her boyfriend face a lawsuit from their landlord for unpaid rent. According to the landlord, the couple stopped paying rent in August, despite earning a combined annual income of over $300,000 from taxpayer-funded salaries. Adding to the dispute, the landlord claims that the garage access codes were changed without her consent, preventing her from performing necessary maintenance on the property. As a result, Henyard owes thousands in back rent, prompting the landlord to take legal action.
A few times to serve them for a household that makes, over $350,000 a year.
It's going to catch up to you, just pay your rent, said Tiffany Henyard's landlord when asked about her ongoing tenant issues, a sentiment that mirrors the growing frustration surrounding the embattled mayor. Despite mounting accusations and legal challenges, Henyard has remained defiant, refusing to acknowledge public criticism or the gravity of the allegations against her. During a recent village board meeting, she dismissed her detractors, saying sharply, "A lot of you come to this mic talking about nothing, and when I say nothing, you're talking about Tiffany Henyard. That indicates you are true admirers of mine, and I am grateful for that." The bold statement left many residents stunned, with critics questioning how someone embroiled in so much controversy could exude such confidence, or, as some see it, such disconnection from reality. Meanwhile, public dissatisfaction with Henyard's leadership continues to grow, with residents becoming increasingly vocal in their demand for accountability. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's confrontational approach has done little to ease tensions in Dolton, with her declaration during a recent meeting, "I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges," further inflaming emotions. Many interpreted her remarks as an attempt to silence her critics rather than address their concerns. Adding to the controversy, Henyard's recent appointment of Ronald Burge Sr. as the new police chief has sparked yet another court battle and intensified public scrutiny of her decision-making. Critics argue that the appointment reflects Henyard's pattern of prioritizing personal interests over community needs, deepening divisions within the village and amplifying calls for accountability. For many locals, this latest move is yet another example of Henyard's increasingly contentious leadership style. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's controversial leadership style, marked by snap decisions and a lack of transparency, has only deepened the divide between her and her critics. As her challenges mount, the rift continues to grow, with detractors accusing her of ignoring the pressing concerns of her constituents, while her supporters argue that she is standing firm against baseless attacks. The question now is how long Henyard can endure the escalating legal troubles, public resentment, and internal conflicts without facing significant political fallout. The stark contrast between her confident demeanor and the mounting scandals paints a portrait of a leader determined to hold on to power, even as the foundation of her authority grows increasingly unstable.
We'll be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be pressing charges.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard's decision to appoint Ronald Burge Sr. as the village's acting police chief has ignited legal controversies and sparked widespread condemnation, further escalating tensions in Dolton. Despite protests from the village trustees and a stern warning from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, which oversees law enforcement standards in the state, Henyard moved forward with the appointment. The board had classified Burge as inactive due to incomplete paperwork and failure to meet requalification standards, strongly recommending that he be removed from public service until the issues were resolved. Ignoring this advice, Henyard secured a judge's approval for Burge to serve as interim police chief for 30 days, while a permanent replacement is sought. Trustees view this move as yet another example of Henyard disregarding the advice of experts and further deepening the rift between her administration and the village leadership. The appointment of Ronald Burge Sr. as acting police chief has been seen as yet another example of Mayor Tiffany Henyard's disregard for proper procedure and governance standards. In response, the village trustees are considering taking additional legal action to block Burge's appointment, further deepening the rift between them and Henyard. This controversy is just the latest in a series of scandals that have plagued Henyard's administration, eroding trust among both local officials and residents. Critics argue that her actions reflect a pattern of unilateral decision-making and a refusal to collaborate with key stakeholders. Beyond the procedural missteps, the trustees and others feel that Henyard's leadership style undermines the very foundation of effective governance. Objections to Ronald Burge's appointment as acting police chief highlight broader concerns about accountability and the potential impact on public safety. As the situation unfolds, it has become a central issue in the ongoing conflict between Mayor Tiffany Henyard and her critics, who accuse her of undermining the integrity of local government. The controversy has attracted high-profile opposition, including former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who recently added her voice to the growing chorus of detractors. Lightfoot has criticized Henyard for egregious financial mismanagement, further compounding the mayor's already escalating problems. According to Lightfoot, the village's financial woes have been exacerbated by the misappropriation or unaccounted-for use of millions of dollars in federal funds intended for essential services. Dune's community development and infrastructure projects have faced increasing scrutiny due to allegations of mismanagement under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration. The transparency and effectiveness of her leadership have been called into question, particularly after accusations that millions of dollars in federal funds meant to support struggling local initiatives were misappropriated. Residents, already frustrated by what they perceive as a lack of accountability, are now demanding answers about where the money went and why it didn't help their community recover. The involvement of former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has only added weight to the situation, signaling the seriousness of the issue and raising further concerns about Henyard's leadership. In response, Henyard has remained defiant, dismissing the criticism as politically motivated and accusing her opponents of obstructing the village's progress. Supporters of Mayor Tiffany Henyard argue that she is being unfairly targeted and that her bold approach is crucial to overcoming Dolton's challenges. However, for her critics, Henyard's refusal to address the village's core issues or engage in meaningful dialogue only reinforces their doubts about her leadership. The ongoing turmoil surrounding Burge's nomination, coupled with accusations of financial mismanagement, has left many residents questioning whether Dolton can make any real progress under her leadership. The growing frustration among locals suggests that confidence in Henyard's ability to lead is rapidly fading.
But you don't even have a sense to even look in our face. But you rather just steal our money and do what you want to do.
At some point, you have to understand that karma's going to catch up to you. Just pay your rent, said Tiffany Henyard's landlord when asked about her ongoing tenant issues. This blunt remark perfectly encapsulated the growing frustration with the mayor, who has become a polarizing figure in Dolton. Meanwhile, Henyard has responded defiantly to the mounting criticism, refusing to bow to public pressure or acknowledge the seriousness of the accusations against her. During a recent village board meeting, she sharply told the audience, "A lot of you come to this mic talking about nothing, and when I say nothing, you're talking about Tiffany Henyard. That indicates you are true admirers of mine, and I am grateful for that." Many locals were taken aback by her bold and audacious statement, made in the face of intensifying scrutiny. Amid growing accusations and legal challenges, many have questioned how someone embroiled in so much controversy can maintain such confidence, or, as some see it, appear so disconnected from reality. Henyard's aggressive approach has only intensified public anger, with residents becoming increasingly vocal in their dissatisfaction with her leadership. During a recent village board meeting, she declared, "I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be seeking arrests for individuals involved. I will be seeking arrests," further inflaming emotions. Many saw this as an attempt to silence her critics rather than address their concerns. Adding to the turmoil, Henyard's selection of Ronald Burge Sr. as the new police chief has sparked yet another court dispute, drawing even more criticism. Her decision to appoint Burge amid growing scrutiny over her leadership has only deepened the long list of concerns surrounding her administration. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's decision-making process has come under increasing scrutiny, with many calling for greater accountability and responsibility. Her controversial management style, marked by snap decisions and a lack of transparency, has only deepened rifts within the community. Locals see her appointment of Ronald Burge as the new police chief as yet another example of her unorthodox approach, further fueling dissatisfaction. As the issues facing the village continue to worsen, the gap between Henyard and her critics seems to be widening. Her opponents view her stubbornness as a refusal to confront the real problems affecting her constituents, while her supporters argue that she is simply standing firm against unjustified attacks. The central question now is how long Henyard can weather the storm of legal challenges, public resentment, and internal strife without facing serious political fallout. The contrast between her confident demeanor and the mounting pressure from her critics paints a picture of a leader determined to hold on to power at all costs, even as the foundation beneath her leadership grows increasingly unstable.
Battle Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard is mounting a re-election bid. Henyard made the announcement in a post on her Facebook.
Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has publicly criticized Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard for alleged financial mismanagement, accusing her of diverting public funds meant for community development into supporting her personal lifestyle. Lightfoot claims that money intended for public benefit initiatives disappeared without explanation, with some of it reportedly funneled into lavish private parties and luxury purchases instead of funding necessary services for the community. The people of Dolton deserve accountability and transparency, and Mayor Henyard has failed them on both counts, Lightfoot said bluntly, adding, "You don't even have the decency to look us in the face, but instead you steal our money and do whatever you want." Her scathing remarks have resonated with many frustrated residents, further fueling public outrage. The stark contrast between Henyard's alleged extravagant lifestyle and the financial struggles of Dolton's residents has only intensified the criticism of her leadership. The town of Dolton continues to struggle with inadequate public services, underfunded schools, and deteriorating infrastructure. Issues that critics argue reflect Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership failures. Local activist James Carter summed up the community's frustration, saying, "We've watched our town suffer while the mayor lives a life of luxury. She needs to take responsibility for her actions." In an attempt to shift the narrative amid growing criticism, Henyard recently unveiled a plan to offer a 100% homeowner tax refund for Thornton Township residents, framing it as a bold effort to ease financial hardship. However, many officials and residents were left confused by the lack of details and clarity surrounding the proposal, raising doubts about its feasibility. Critics, including Trustee Chris Gonzalez, have expressed serious concerns about the plan's practicality and its potential to address the deeper issues facing the community. There are growing doubts about the feasibility of Mayor Tiffany Henyard's tax refund proposal, particularly given the township's precarious financial situation. For many, the promise of a full homeowner tax refund appears to be a hollow political maneuver designed to deflect attention from the mounting scandals surrounding her administration. With millions of dollars unaccounted for and a growing budget deficit that has left essential public services underfunded, Henyard's proposal has done little to alleviate concerns. Instead, it has further polarized the community. Locals are left questioning whether it is a genuine attempt to help residents or merely a desperate effort to salvage her reputation. Critics argue that the plan is vague and raises more questions than it answers, particularly regarding the source of funding and how such a program could be implemented without exacerbating the township's financial troubles. Public frustration is mounting as Henyard's promises of ambitious projects are increasingly seen as insincere, given the clear disregard for the town's needs. Residents argue that under her leadership, the condition of the roads has worsened, schools are struggling to provide adequate resources, and vital public services are overwhelmed. Henyard's administration has been plagued by accusations of financial mismanagement, and the growing controversy has deepened the divide between her supporters and critics. Accountability demands have intensified following whistleblower reports suggesting that federal funds intended for public welfare projects were embezzled. Locals are demanding answers and action, frustrated by what they see as a lack of transparency. Many are now questioning whether Henyard's leadership can manage the increasing pressure, with the situation placing her squarely in the crosshairs of both local residents and political opponents. Public opinion is growing more critical, with the possibility of a judicial inquiry looming over Henyard's leadership. Despite the mounting challenges, Henyard has shown little willingness to back down, maintaining her image as a resilient leader. However, her defiance has done little to appease skeptics, many of whom view it as a sign of greater indifference to the community's pressing needs. On the surface, the promise of a tax refund may seem appealing, but it has been widely criticized as a distraction from Dolton's more serious issues. Critics, including Trustee Chris Gonzalez, have dismissed it as a smokescreen designed to divert attention from the growing financial mismanagement claims and scandals that have plagued her administration. Locals feel increasingly deceived and disillusioned by the disconnect between Henyard's rhetoric and the harsh realities on the ground. For years, Dolton has faced financial struggles, and accusations of mismanagement have eroded any hope that government support would provide meaningful relief. The town's deteriorating infrastructure, the strain on local schools, and the inadequacy of public services have highlighted the gap between Henyard's promises and the community's unmet needs. Many now believe her defiance and assurances are out of touch with the daily struggles of her constituents.